Well, circling back to what you were saying before about plaster and your teacher and making a decision, a thing that reminded me of making a decision when I was a child was how I write, which I don't have a pen, I don't think anywhere.
Because you're left-handed.
I'm left-handed,
right?
but I also hold my pen in a very peculiar way.
It is peculiar.
A remote here. I hold my pen like this, you know? Whereas like most people hold their pen like this, like I hold all of my fingers on the pen. And I remember in high school having this vague notion that I fell asleep in kindergarten and woke up and looked to the kid to the right of me, and he was holding the pen like that. And so I just copied him, and that's how I learned how to write.
Yeah.
And I thought that's preposterous, right? Like that can't be, like how would anybody decide to write because of that? And then when I was in high school, there was this kid, Mike Alfano, who transferred back into my high school, but he was in kindergarten with me, and he wrote the exact same way that I did, which is...
Was it the original kid?
I mean, he was in my kindergarten class, and he wrote exactly the same way. I can think of no other reason to think of why I would write that way. I was also like good friends with him in kindergarten, so presumably I was sitting next to him, But it's like, I think that there are moments, and there are probably like a handful of others in my life when I was a child where you like make these decisions, you know, and it's like, there's the part of your personality that's just like impulses and like, in a given day, we're like 90% on autopilot. And then there's like the 10% of you that makes those autopilot decisions. And like that was it. And it kind of sounds like that was it when you had this traumatic finger injury where you were like, nope, I just got to be American now, I guess,
Yeah.
But I kind of strive to think about more of those as I go on in life, because I think those are the most interesting parts of our lives, where we like make these decisions for ourselves based on things that are kind of arbitrary too, like napping in kindergarten and then waking up and like making this decision about my hand that now like people comment on all the time,
Right.
Yeah.
and tell me I'm wrong,
But your handwriting's really nice.
I use script, which seems to be almost a thing that people are actively campaigning against now.
No.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah, no, I get the impression that people are like, they like print or nothing. People are, I think by the time we're ready to pass on, I don't think script's going to be around anymore.
Well, I know that when I took it was called the Green Workers Cooperative class. It was up in the Bronx, and it was like a business class that lasted for 6 months. And there was a group that I think they had graduated in the class before me, and their whole thing was about getting script into the public schools, because I know it was being cut out of the curriculum, but I don't think it was that people wanted it to be removed. I think it was that the people in charge wanted it to be removed for budgetary reasons, or the same reason that they get rid of art classes and stuff like that. It's just like, don't bother teaching the kids script. They need to learn typing, and they need to learn the STEM curriculum, and they don't need to worry about this like cursive,
Yeah.
I guess I kind of see the point. I kind of agree to that in a certain way. Like, not that I would want to, eliminate it entirely, but maybe it's more of like an elective. Like, if you want to learn how to write this other way, you can.
Yeah, I guess it feels very important to me, but I don't know why. I really can't tell you why. I think it doesn't come up very often that I need to read script or write in script. It really only comes up when I'm trying to read something that Mike wrote, or if someone else. I know there's a girl that works for me that writes in script, and sometimes I'll have her make recipes or something, and she writes it out. And actually, the first time she did that, she said, "Oh, I didn't even realize until I was halfway through I wrote in script. Is that okay? Do you know how to read that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know how to read script."
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but now it also made me think, wow, that's something we need to ask.
Is it that different that you wouldn't be able to read it?
I think so. I think you could probably fill in the blanks, but I feel like the fact that all the letters connect and then like the S doesn't look, the Z definitely doesn't look like a Z. I mean, there's a lot of letters that look like letters, but then also a lot of letters that don't. Now I'm just running through it.
Yeah, B doesn't really look like B.
Yeah.
F is kind of hard.
Even F doesn't really look like an F.
My recent favorite script letter is capital Q.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Because
it's like the little 2, right?
Because I realized somewhere in the past couple of years that it looks very much like a Q that's missing its back part in an elegant way. Like, because it just like, whoop, like because the actual Q portion is there, it's just missing like a third. It's like the negative space is very powerful in a Q.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly when I realized that I could make my J's different, because, my name is Jessie, and so it starts with a J, and I always was making it like loop, loop. And then I learned that I could do like a scoop loop. It was life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I could just do a straight down, like I could switch it up so many different ways. That felt cool.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I have to say I never liked the capital S in cursive.
Yeah.
I much prefer the other one.
Yeah. It's a little boring, huh?
It's kind of like weirdly difficult to make look good or consistent, I find.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the primary, I enjoy writing, I like writing things down, pretty much anything, before I type it. I like how it slows things down. I like that I can make my own notation. And I do like the idea that I can make something look nicer and more official by writing in script. But it certainly previously was to be more time efficient than print, but that's no longer the case versus typing. And now I guess the primary reason I can think of would be hand dexterity for children. The idea that you can manipulate, fine motor skills and whatnot. I don't know if there's a lot of other things like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're cutting out art classes and you're cutting out music classes and you're cutting out script, where are the kids going to get that from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just tying their shoes again and again?
Yeah.
Well, not if they use Velcro.
Oh my God.
Good point. Or lasers or whatever the future is going to be.
You just laser my shoe on. Yeah, well, it's funny that you say, like, script. I guess I never realized that it was meant for, like, a time-saving aspect. Because, like, when I write, it's not like I write each letter. Like, it is more of a fluid, like, they all connect.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like my personal handwriting is, like, a combination of writing in all caps, print, mixed with cursive.
I think it was also, like, a refining thing. If you, back in the day, if you wrote in script, you could identify as potentially of a certain class.
Yeah.
Well, that was my first thought when you said that people are campaigning to get rid of it. I was like, is this like a class thing?
Oh,
yeah, that's
interesting.
it. Well, that's also interesting in relation to the story I told you about the people in the class with me. That was in the Bronx, and they were specifically focused on keeping script in public schools in the Bronx. And I wonder, I don't know, I don't think I got into it too much, but I am curious, maybe it is to some degree, like the more privileged schools are still teaching it, and so it's like this disconnect between the kids that are going to public school in the Bronx and the kids that are going to private school in Lower Manhattan or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to go away. I think it'll just go away across the board, except like weird boarding schools.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, now all the kids are getting homeschooled, kind of. Maybe.
Well, we'll be lucky if they know how to write at all at this rate.